Hey, my name's Tony Boutros, and this is the Reborn Podcast. At Reborn, we're all about self-improvement, whether that means wealth, health, or relationships, the big three. Now, on this podcast, you'll find episodes with boxers, athletes, entrepreneurs, real estate investors, and more. Whether you're an aspiring athlete or an inspiring entrepreneur, or just someone looking to improve their life, you've come to the right place. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks so much for listening.
Welcome to the Reborn Podcast with Tony Boutros. In this episode, we have the pleasure of interviewing Jason Lamar, a mindset, fitness, and nutrition coach who has forged a unique path in his field. Jason is all about overcoming fear of rejection, choosing mentorship over traditional education, maintaining consistency in fitness, nutrition, and life, and above all, eliminating excuses and embracing personal growth. Let's delve into this candid conversation with these interview questions. First, thank you for being here, Jason.
Thank you for having me, and great intro as well.
Thank you. Jason, what ignited your journey into self-improvement and personal development, and how did you carve a unique path into your field?
Yeah, so that's a interesting story. Well, maybe I can't judge if my own story is interesting or not. But when I was growing up, my focus was on what some people would describe as illegal activities. You know, I don't like to quantify such things, but I moved on from there. Then I tried putting my life together. I did a lot of sales jobs. I did personal training. I did some real estate. I did a lot of investment stuff, crypto, real estate, trying to find what it was that I was going to want to do long term. And with the crypto and the real estate and the investments, I got myself to a position that I said that I always wanted to be, where I could just mind my own business and make the money that I wanted to make. But in all of these endeavors, nothing was ever fulfilling to me. So I took a look and said, what is the common denominator here in all of these things? And it was me. So I figured I must be the problem. So I set some time aside to work on myself. And that's kind of how I came to be where I am now.
So what I took from that is you value purpose over wealth. Or you value purpose as part of your human nature. You want to fulfill your purpose, and you want to give back to the community as well, not just achieving wealth and being fuck all to everyone else.
Yeah. So ironically, I started out thinking that all I wanted to do was mind my own business and make money and be able to do whatever it is that I want to. And then when I finally got to a place where I could do that, it was like, what am I even doing? Like, why am I waking up in the morning? So as I started focusing on developing myself, I came to realize, yes, I need some sort of purpose in life. I need something to do. I want to show other people this as well, so that, you know, people who live how I have, come from where I come from, know that there's more out there that you could do.
Right. I see that all the time on your social media too, where you're talking about where you came from. And it's like, dude, like, you can literally come from the streets doing possibly illegal activities, but come from the streets and then literally motivate people to do stuff that you maybe couldn't have even done before. And like the mindset of just being able to help people, even though you've already achieved wealth. Like, most people would just be like, dude, why the fuck would I help this person who can't even eat straight with their nutrition? Why? Tell me why. When I'm already rich, when I'm already doing this crypto, when I'm already doing this real estate, why would I give a fuck about them? But then you have to realize, like, where I came from, and just go after your passion, fulfill your purpose. Purpose is, to me, entirely 100% more important than wealth. But I think also, if you fulfill your purpose and you're achieving your goals, you're gonna be passionate about it, and you're going to get to a place where you're so good at it because you actually care about it, that you're changing the others' lives. And the more you impact others' lives, the more money you're going to make in turn. Period, point blank.
So, yeah, absolutely. So first off, I would like to clarify, when we say wealth, I would consider myself more financially comfortable than wealthy and or rich. But as a whole, the overall point still stands, right? So it is all a mindset thing, coming from wherever, and there's not a lot of accountability, and that's the biggest thing that people are missing. But I also know that looking up at the older people and the people who were farther along in life, more so age-wise than anything else, kind of only ever modeled bad behaviors and how to do stuff that will get you ahead in avenues that you didn't really want to be in. So no one ever sees anybody doing something positive and telling people that you can do this positive stuff too. It's always people encouraging people to go out and do some negative shit, whether that's something directly criminal or just, getting drunk, getting high, running around sleeping with a bunch of random women, stuff like that, something that's not going to help you out at all. So I think it's important to have somebody to show, hey, you could come from here and you can still do whatever it is that you want to do that's actually helping people, that's moving people forward while you're moving yourself forward. And to your other point, I think as a whole in any area of life, whatever you chase very hard will always avoid you. Like women talk all the time about thirsty dudes in the club, the ones running around looking like they're trying to sleep with everybody are going to have the hardest time trying to do it. So when you focus more on your purpose, as you said, or whatever it is that you're trying to do, the rest of the stuff comes with it. And you attract it just by the nature of who you are.
Right. Yeah, I think by, like you said, purpose, when you're going towards your purpose, when you're not just chasing money, first of all, like you said, you're not going to chase the money away because you're not chasing money. You're going to achieve the money through pursuing your purpose because, again, like I said, you're passionate about it and you truly want to help people. It's not, I'm going to help people so that I can make money. It's I'm going to help people so that people improve.
Yes.
And then the money comes.
Absolutely. It is a big difference, though. Functionally, it looks the same, but I do believe that your attention and stuff is very important as well. I'll give you an example. I used to power lift. And when I first started working out, I was bench pressing. I was super obsessed with benching 225 pounds. So I'll go every single week and hit it for 5 reps. I just wanted to do that. I wanted to be able to do it more, but I could never get stronger at it. Then when I started shifting into powerlifting and focusing more on, okay, am I benching right? What am I doing to build my bench? And just making sure I was benching properly, my bench press went up naturally, became one of my best lifts. I wasn't even focusing on the number. It just came as a byproduct of the process.
That actually happened for me as well. I used to, for me, it was ego lifting. And I remember I would literally max out like every day. And now when I'm more balanced with my approach, I do hypertrophy. So higher reps some days, I do lower reps other days, and I rarely max out anymore. I'm much stronger. When I max out, I'm much bigger now. I'm much stronger overall with the reps. And also for me, with powerlifting specifically, I don't think powerlifting is super purposeful, honestly, just because like you're not where are you going to use that strength at?
Right? in terms of real life application. Yes, I agree with that.
Maybe a car falls on your wife and some freak accident. I can't think of a time where you would actually use it. To me, and I believe you do this as well, what's much more purposeful is combat sports. I think, especially as a man, knowing how to fight, knowing how to defend not only yourself, but your loved ones, your family, your wife, your children, and those around you is much more purposeful. And also it just feels great to have that self-confidence in yourself that you get from being able to fight and defend yourself. And the action actually is fun in itself too.
Absolutely. So from a functional life perspective, if you're talking about actually training for something, being able to fight is 1000% something that you should be able to do as a man. As you said, you should be able to defend yourself and those around you. And I also think it's a very important experience to know what it's like to be in some sort of combat scenario, just so you know how to handle yourself. A lot of people have these fantasies of what they're going to do, and they're going to be some random hero in a situation that they've never been in, and something happens and they freak out and run out because they have no idea what it's like. So you have to experience these types of things to know how to handle yourself in them.
Yeah. I started boxing actually a few months ago, and I remember the first week or something, some kid, we got in an altercation, or he pushed me about some bench that was in the gym, not even a bench that you bench press on, a bench that, well, I don't even know what it's for, honestly. But just basically other stupid shit, Yep. But I feel like when you know how to fight, you don't want to fight.
Absolutely.
Right? The people that want to fight are the people who don't have that self-confidence, who don't have that self-control. But when you're learning martial arts, when you're learning boxing or kickboxing or Muay Thai or jiu-jitsu or whatever, you're learning also that self-control, that discipline. And you don't want to fight because you can truly fuck someone up and, maybe on like put them in a hospital or worse. But B, it's like, it's not even worth my time. It's not worth doing.
So yeah, in life as a whole, the people who are calling for or in support of violence are the people who have never experienced themselves. Excuse me. So if you've experienced violence in real life, you don't want to be a part of it because you know how it goes. And then, as you said, with fighting, it's very easy for someone to die accidentally getting punched in the side of the head or something, or you hit them and they fall and snap their neck, or even depending on where you are, you get in a fight and some people just don't want to lose. They pull out knives, they pull out guns, someone gets their head blown off or something, and it's not anyone trying to be macho anymore. It's like, oh shit, this is real. So when you've experienced that in some capacity, you do your best to avoid it. It's only the people who have lived very, very peaceful lives who want to call people pussy or whatever for trying to stay away from that.
Yeah. Without going too deep into it, would you say you have had that transformation yourself from back when you were not very well off financially? Would you say you were more aggressive back then and you did pick more fights back then than you do now?
So yeah, so the way I came up I came up where everything was a reason to fight somebody. Someone's looking at you crazy. It's figure out what is happening and make sure they don't ever do that shit again. Any form of disrespect was a call for some sort of violence, whether that be hand to hand or something else. But as you grow up and you get out of the situation, you get around those people, because that's another big thing is who you're around. So if you're around everybody who lives this way and has these kind of principles and values, you want to be a part of it. You want to be included.
Right.
It's human nature. So it's hard to see it when you're in it, but once you get away from it, it's easier to take a much more objective look at it and see, oh shit, this isn't something that I want to be a part of. I don't want to be out places wondering who is looking at me and thinking that everyone who's looking at me is trying to fight me or something worse than that. And I don't want to be out looking over my shoulder wondering what's going to happen. So
what ultimately got you out of that mindset, out of that environment?
So I was 22, 23 years old. And what it took for me, quite honestly, is because I got into some bad situations younger, but it was never enough for me to learn my lesson. But what really did it for me was it was a couple of people who I would have considered brothers of some sorts. These are people who like I would have given my life for, and they fucked me over when they got the opportunity. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm looking for the approval of people who don't really give a shit about me.
Right.
So
then yeah. And so were those like OGs? Older people that you looked up to?
Some of them were older, some were my age. Combination of the two.
Okay. And so those were people that, again, you wanted to have the approval of, you wanted to look up to even, and you realized, shit, I've been doing this for 23 years. And these people are going to just go behind my back and fuck around and sabotage what I'm doing. And so that really woke you up to the realization that, like, I need to get out of here. I need to just get around other people, or even get away from these people. Step one, getting away from these negative people. And then down that road, I'll find these positive people. But the first step is just getting away from those negative influences.
So the wanting to get around positive people came a lot later for me than it should have, because at first I was just like, these are just not who I need to be around. And the original attitude I took towards it was everybody sucks. Fuck everybody. I can't trust anybody in the whole fucking world, which is not the best. Can I curse on here? Is that okay?
No, I think I've cursed a couple of times. You're good.
Okay, cool, perfect. So that was my first, where I first went with it for longer than I should have, if I'm being quite honest. But it was fuck everybody. I'm good by myself. And that helped me and it hurt me, because I rejected people for a very long time, not realizing that I had gotten myself into the situation. So there's no one to blame for it but myself. And I took it out on everybody else. But it was needing to get away from those people, because once I got away from there, I was able to look at stuff entirely from my own perspective. It's like, well, is this what I want to do? Is this what I want to be a part of? Is this how I want to live? Or is this what I want to worry about? Is this what I want to focus on?
I'm curious, once you got away from there, obviously you can't just pack up your bags, move 3 states away, and go move into a mansion. So did you end up just working your way up with a minimum wage job, or how did you build your life back up?
Yeah, so I had a small shitty apartment at the time, living with one of these aforementioned people, and it so happened to conveniently be at the time that the lease was about to be up. So I just pivoted over to another slightly smaller, slightly shittier apartment. But oh goodness, what was I doing at the time? I was working at Pizza Hut. I was delivering pizzas. And yeah, it was a shitty job. And looking back on it, it was such a shitty job, it's such an easy thing to do, and I was just fucking it up, showing up to work whenever I felt like it, and I had to be at like 11 a.m. and I was still late somehow. So, but once I got away from there, I was able to just focus on that, and I started doing better and got myself promoted there, and just kind of went from there.
Would you say back then, you said you were always late, you were fucking up a lot? Was that because you were unhealthy physically, like you slept your whole day away, or was it you just didn't care? Or what?
It was in all honesty, I didn't care because of the way that I was living. I would work night shifts, sometimes come home at like 1 a.m. and sit up. I smoke like a half ounce of weed at night, be up to like 7, 8 a.m. and just sleep the next day till whatever the fuck. I wake up 5, 6 p.m. sometimes. So I wasn't working out at the time. I wasn't eating right. I smoked, I ate chips, I ate there was a McDonald's up the street. I would eat the McDonald's. Sometimes I didn't eat. I'd eat the free pizza, but it was never anything good. I was always high. When I wasn't smoking weed, I was smoking Black and Milds. So yeah, very, very unhealthy, both physically and mentally, but they carried over. I can't say one caused the other, but they kind of just fed into each other.
Was there one moment that kind of changed everything? Obviously you can't go from Pizza Hut to making all the money in the world right away. But is there one moment that you can think back to that changed your perspective on health, and then ultimately changes perspective on the goals you want to achieve and the wealth you want to attain?
So on the health honestly came as a byproduct of me just focusing on working out. I had started working out a little bit before, not super seriously, not anything structured, not anything paying attention to nutrition. But when I finally got into it and I started going, because the mindset that I took was, well, if these other people can get in shape, then I can fucking do it too. And once that started to prove true, I started to think about, well, okay, if I could get in shape and I could transform my body, what else can I do? So I figured if this is something that I can accomplish, then it applies to other areas of life as well.
Right. So health came before the riches. Health came before you became financially successful.
Yes. Yeah. I was, when I was in the worst shape, I was in the worst position. And as I started to get in shape, I actually went from when I first started getting in shape, I went to eventually wound up personal training. So getting in shape, and then I kind of grew up from there. So getting in shape is kind of the catalyst for me starting to move up in life.
And do you believe that's the same way that anyone needs to go? You need to first be in shape at the peak condition and optimal health before you can start achieving your financial goals? Or do you feel like you can achieve financial goals before your health?
I think peak condition is a relative thing depending on what it is that you're trying to do. But I do think that they go hand in hand. I think if you could get that area of your life under control, because it's very hard to deny yourself food or to get up and go to the gym, especially when you're not in shape, and bust your ass doing some shit that you don't want and wake up the next day with no difference other than now you feel like shit and say, I'm still going to go ahead and do it anyway. But I think the discipline that you cultivate from that will help you out in all areas of life.
Right. What my thinking on it is I always think, and I always say this too to people, I work out more for mental health than physical health, but I don't think you can have peak mental health without without healthy physical health, and you can't achieve your financial goals or all of your financial goals because you can't perform at the highest of your ability without mental health. And so it all goes back to physical health. I don't think you can have mental clarity. I don't think you can think, like I said, at the highest of your ability. I don't think you can perform. I don't think you're going to have the energy if you're not in shape. And therefore, you're not going to have the mental health. You're not going to have the peak performance in business. So it all goes back to health. It all begins with what do they call it? The 30-day ab workout that everyone looks up, the meme, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep, 4-week abs or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that the only one of those that you can achieve independently of the other two is the physical health. And being
Yeah.
in good physical health if you're not in good physical health, you can't be at your best in either mentally or financially. So maybe you can get some good mental health on your own when you're not physically healthy. Maybe you can get some good financial success when you're not physically healthy, but you're not going to do as good as you can until
Right.
you are in the best shape that you could be in. But getting into the best shape that you could be in, you can do independent of having the greatest mental health or being super wealthy. So yeah, that's kind of the catalyst to a lot of it, because it's a prerequisite. And it's the only to doing the best and the only one you can achieve independently.
I do agree with that. Yeah. Especially if you're just looking at health from like a physical standpoint, from how you look, not necessarily how you feel, like not mentally, but just how your body feels. Like if you're just looking at, oh, this guy has muscles and abs, and that's all you're looking at, then yeah, you can 100% achieve that. If that's all your life goals, then yeah, you don't have to go make money. You don't have to be mentally healthy. You can go get some abs and cool. You're cool, you know, whatever.
Yeah, now you're an in shape person.
So, but can you share a moment when you faced a significant setback or failure in your journey, and how did you bounce back from it, staying true to your no excuses approach?
Yeah, so this is an interesting one. I can't go into the greatest amount of detail, but in the last, 2023, early 2022, I had a setback financially due to some money being tied up in some court stuff. Nothing criminal, but it was a good amount, like 6 figures plus. And that was an unforeseen roadblock, obviously. And even still now, it's still kind of wrapped up there. There's nothing that I can do with it. I had plans for it. I had plans for what I was going to do, but it happened. And maybe 5+ years ago, I would have taken it like, fuck, this is what always happens to me. Everything is so terrible. But I took it as, this is what happened. It's nothing that I can do about it. This is just an opportunity to prove that I can come back from some other shit, that I can make everything right with the roadblock, that I don't need everything to go perfectly in order for me to continue moving forward. And if I don't do anything about it, I'm going to be fucked. And I don't want to be fucked, because I know what it's like to be fucked.
Right. Do you see a possibility that could also be a beneficial thing for you, that you lost that money? And even like, let's say maybe you would have blown it on something back then, but now if you get it back in 2 years from now, you might actually put it into a smart investment, something like that.
So actually, I wouldn't have blown it at the time. It was set up for some investments, but I adopted a long time ago the philosophy that everything that happens to me is a good thing. And if that had not happened, I would not be on the path career-wise that I'm on right now. So absolutely, I look at it as a blessing in disguise. And this came up so it could show me where it was that I was actually meant to go.
Right.
Because so that was around. Oh, go ahead.
Just realizing the outcome of this happened. I can either go from here and still take action, or I can go from here and sulk about it like a little baby, and choosing to take action instead.
Yes. Well, absolutely. So what people fail to realize is, once something happens, no matter how much you didn't want it to happen, no matter how unhappy you are with it having happened, it's taken place. There's nothing you can do about it. You can't go back in time. You can't rewind. You can't make different decisions. None of your hindsight means shit. All you can do is move forward with it the best that you can.
Right. Exactly. That's and I've actually adopted the same mentality from what you were saying with taking everything as a blessing in disguise. I mean, I've talked on it multiple times now, previously, and I mean, I grew up with super poor mental health, and I was in a much better environment than even you were. I mean, I grew up in the suburbs, so I grew up in a great school, upper middle class or even wealthy area, but just in my head, I ruined my own childhood. And I think that's also very important is I ruined my XYZ, whatever that is for the people listening. I ruined this for myself. I ruined my childhood, not the people who bullied me, or not the people who didn't like me, or not the people who I was afraid to be judged by. I ruined my own childhood, period.
Yes.
And just coming out of that and now going into mindset coaching, because I've gone through a journey. I mean, if I could take the last 10 years of my life back and redo it, I wouldn't, because then I wouldn't have had that life experience. I wouldn't have had those strategies that got me through there. And truthfully, another thing that I learned is how to be alone. And now, given back then, it was more of an isolation. And so obviously that's not healthy. I was alone and I didn't have the habits. But now pairing the self-improvement habits that I do with the ability to be alone, it makes you unstoppable. Because so many people crave attention. They crave people around them. And to most people, it doesn't even matter who the fuck's around them. They don't care if the person around them is watching Netflix 3 hours a day and eating pizza and ice cream and whatever the fuck they want, just doing what they want to do, not what they know they need to do. So just appreciating your past for what it is and trying your best to take an actual or multiple lessons from it.
Absolutely. So like I fast every single Sunday, and I got the ability to deny myself food, not eat from being too fucking poor to have food. So it's everything is what you make of it. And some stuff takes place, and you can blame other people and always be a victim, or you can take accountability and grow from that. Like you said about being bullied, you can blame the bullies and say these people picked on me, or you can say I was the type of person who would get bullied, and that is on me. How do I fix that so it doesn't happen moving forward?
Right.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. Everything is what it is that you choose to do with it. I don't believe in bad things. I don't believe that bad things happen to me. I don't believe in bad luck. I believe everything that happens to me is a good thing. Everything that happens is for my betterment. And it will be if that's how you choose to look at it.
Yeah. You're 100% right. I definitely was a kind of person who would be bullied, because literally the reason I was bullied is because I wanted to fit in. But because of that, I molded myself into someone who I wasn't even being true to myself at that point. So
yeah, and people can sense that. And they're like, who is this weirdo pretending to be somebody else?
Exactly. I mean, I wanted to be as funny as it sounds now. I wanted to be a cool kid. I wanted to be popular. I wanted to be liked by girls. I wanted to be good at sports and all the little kid shit that you go through when you're in high school and middle school.
I mean, yes. I mean, that's the same thing for me, just in the opposite direction. Like I wanted to be down. I wanted to be the dude who was with whatever. So it's all just seeking validation. And like you said, the problem with that is you don't care who you get it from and what they give it to you for. So your bar for what it's hard to have some sort of moral compass and also need people to tell you that it's okay to be you.
Right. Exactly.
You wind up running around doing whatever it is to make them approve of you.
I mean, I remember actually having some good friends that I started being a dick to because they weren't popular. And because I saw that other kids were bullying them as well. And what's funny is later they became popular as well.
Yeah, see? Yep. That's karma right there.
And Dixon, and it's like, dude, if I had just been true to myself and around my actual friends, not pretending to be someone else, one, I would have achieved the being popular, but two, I would have not fucked over my childhood because I would have been true to myself.
Yep, with genuine friendships, not just people who you were getting to approve of you because you were doing whatever it is that they wanted. Yeah, that's how it goes, man.
Yeah, it's like I said, definitely don't regret it, but it's lessons to learn from for sure.
Absolutely. Everything is. I don't believe in regrets.
You mentioned the Sunday fasting, which is definitely you have to be very disciplined for that. I do intermittent fasting, never done I have probably done a 1 or 2 day full day fast, but What daily habits or routines are non-negotiable in your life, and how have they contributed to your personal and professional success?
Non-negotiable. My wake up time, I get up every single day, no matter what happens, 4 a.m. I meditate every morning, work out every day. Those are all things that I do not skip. And then here now with my latest endeavor, I don't miss any of my posts. Those are all non-negotiable stuff. And sticking to that, again, it just cultivates and reinforces living a disciplined life, which is really the key to getting anywhere.
Right. You said you meditate every morning. What kind of meditation do you do?
Just mindfulness meditation, just some breathing.
Okay. And as far as the workout, do you have to do that at a certain time, or do you just get it in whenever you can?
No. Every single day, 7:30 a.m. every single day I work out.
And what does working out mean to you? Is that because for me, what I usually do is either a run or a lift.
So I hate cardio. I hate running.
Okay.
But I have a Echo bike, or I think it's an Assault bike is the common one in my garage. I've started doing some cardio and conditioning with that, specifically because I hate cardio and conditioning. So yeah. I make it a point to do some shit that I hate and force myself to do it anyway. For the most part, 4 days a week, I lift weights. The other 3 is the cardio and conditioning. I also do some grip work.
Okay. So that's actually very, very powerful. Doing what you hate, which actually there's one habit that I do that I can think of right on the way off the top of my head, which I actually love doing because it's actually very, very refreshing. But just before you do it, it always feels like it's going to be a bitch, which is going into the cold plunge. I try and get cold therapy done every day, usually in the cold plunge. And if I'm not going to the gym that day, then I do it just as a cold shower. But I think definitely doing stuff that you hate is super powerful, and it's going to teach you discipline. It's going to teach you how to overcome your mental hurdles and ultimately just become a stronger man.
Absolutely. And I haven't done a cold plunge myself. I was doing a cold shower every morning for a while, but I live in Arizona. It's very, very hot here. And in the summertime, the shower water is never cold. So kind of threw a wrench in my plans there. But yes, most people avoid shit that makes them uncomfortable or that they don't like to do. And that's how they find themselves in situations that they don't want to be in. A lot of anxiety that people have comes from the fact that they avoid all sorts of problems. So little shit seems huge to them because they're not equipped to deal with anything because they never do.
Right. So it's really about building up your stress tolerance then.
Absolutely. 1000%. It's the same thing like you see people who can hold their breath for 9 minutes. It's because they stick their face under the water for as long as they can until eventually you can do it a little bit longer. I mean, I imagine that's how you hold your breath long. I never actually Googled it, but that's what makes sense to me.
Yeah, that doesn't even seem possible. But that's another thing. It doesn't seem possible. It doesn't seem possible to build $1 million business. It doesn't seem possible to get abs. It doesn't seem possible to become above average.
Yeah, everything is hard when you first start doing it. Like people are master guitar players, and when they first started, they were just hitting the little fucking strings, trying to figure out what does what, and it seemed impossible to be able to play as good as I don't know any guitar players. I don't know why I picked this example, but rock band guitar players or whatever. Yeah. So everything is impossible until you do it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and it's always also going to feel out of your league per se. It's going to feel like you can't do it until you have a plan and until you start executing on that plan. Because also having a plan is part of it, but there's so many people who have a plan, but if you don't execute, if you don't actually take action on it, and I know this myself because I have had trouble with overthinking and FOMO and I can't remember what the other word I'm looking for is, but like, you have a plan and then you change it 50 times, you never actually execute on it. It doesn't fucking matter.
So one of the biggest issues that with planning is that planning in itself seems productive. So it's very easy to get very invested into making a plan to do something and tricking yourself into feeling like you've actually accomplished shit. The greatest plan in the world is absolutely meaningless if you don't use it. But in the other direction, if you want to say you want to walk somewhere, you have absolutely no idea where to go but north, and you just start walking north, you will get there eventually. It might not be the best way to do it, but you'll find yourself there. Whereas the person who's trying to map out the whole entire route and keeps perfecting it will never get anywhere.
That related to what I've gone through so much. I mean, like I said, I've gone through tons of overthinking, tons of planning, and also, I mean, I think with the amount of resources, the amount of education that there is online now, you start looking up how to XYZ, how to build a coaching business online. And you literally will find a video and you're like, oh, this is some great advice. You look at it and then you don't do anything about it. You might take some notes. And then you go into the next video. It is contradicting that same advice you just got 5 minutes ago.
Yep, then you're confused. You don't know what to do. So much going on. Who do I listen to? That's why it's so important to just act on stuff. It will always be the world's greatest plan.
And the thing is, too, these business coaches are successful not because they looked at 50 different videos on how to build a coaching business. They're successful because they took action and they actually built a business. And that happens with a lot of trial and error. And you might actually fucking suck at the beginning. And that's just part of business. I mean, again, with the guitar, you might suck at playing guitar. You might suck at working out. You might suck at eating right. You might suck at doing marketing or sales or coaching or whatever the fuck. You're not going to be good in the beginning, period.
Hey, this is Tony Boutros. Sorry for the interruption. I hope you guys are enjoying this episode. If you are, please do me a favor. I'd appreciate it so much. Just share this episode with someone else who can gain value. An entrepreneur, an athlete, or just someone trying to improve their life. If you have that person in mind or people in mind, please, I'm asking you from the bottom of my heart to share it with them. Not only would it mean so much to me, it would mean so much to them. You know what they say, your network is your net worth. Be a valuable part of someone else's network. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoy the rest of the episode.
Whatever you do, you're gonna suck at in the beginning. But like, if your goal is to make the world's greatest chocolate chip cookie, and you Google how to make chocolate chip cookies, you're gonna find a million different recipes. Any one of them will get you a chocolate chip cookie, right? You just have to pick one and make it. But people get caught up overthinking of which one is it, it's the one that you do. It will always be the one that you do. The path that you take is always the right path, the best path.
And what's funny is when you're looking up the chocolate chip cookies, it's always going to be how to make the best chocolate chip cookie, even though they're all different recipes. So it's their marketing that's pulling you in, but then it's your indecisiveness that's fucking
preventing you from actually doing it. Yep. Because the best one is going to be the one that you take, that you figure out how to make, and then the one that you customize to yourself. But you're just lengthening that process the more that you sit there thinking about which one to start with. Any of them. Doesn't matter.
Exactly. No, that definitely has been an issue for me in the past. But how do you personally measure success, both in terms of your own growth and your impact on others?
My biggest measurement for success for myself is that I do every single day, no matter what happens, everything that I have told myself that I was going to do. And as long as I do that, then I will be good. People underestimate the importance of compounding over time. So every single time, if you decide that you're going to take 10 steps every single day, and every single day you do that no matter what, every day it will become easier to take 10 steps. Some days you will take 20 steps, some days you'll take 15, but every day you take 10. At the end of it, you're going to be way the fuck farther along the path than you would have been if you pick days to miss, or today I don't feel like it, or I'm sad today, so I can't walk. You could still do it no matter what. And as long as you do it, you will wind up where you want to be. The success kind of comes as a byproduct of just sticking to what it is that you need to do regardless. As far as on other people, it would be the more people that I could get to see that, and just people who have found something that I said to be of some sort of benefit to them. As long as somebody finds some sort of wisdom or help or guidance in something that I've said, I feel like that's a win for me.
So essentially, just like, if I can impact the life of one person, if I can make one person's life better, then my mission is complete.
Then I've done something great. Very, very, very few people in the world, if you really think about it, can say I have improved someone's life for real, like objectively improved their life. So if you could do that for even one person, you're ahead of 99% of the population.
Right. I'm curious, do you journal at all, or how do you make your task? Because for me, what's very helpful is making the task the night before, so then I don't wake up at, like you said, 4 a.m. and I'm like, dude, I don't even know. I don't want to get up because I don't even know what I'm going to do when I get up.
Yeah, so I have I guess technically I did write it out, but it's the same shit every single day. Some stuff gets added onto that and I'll make a note of it wherever, but for the most part, originally I wrote it out and now it just is what it is. It's just repeating it every single day. And then, you know, stuff comes up like today we're doing this interview. I throw that on my calendar.
Okay. Maintaining mental health is crucial in your line of work. What strategies do you employ to manage stress and stay mentally strong, especially when dealing with rejections or setbacks?
So that's going back to what we said before. My viewpoint on everything is that all things that happen to me are good, which helps me avoid a good bit of stress. I take everything that comes as a blessing and figure out what I can do with it, how I can benefit from it. I don't really believe in the concept of being overwhelmed. I believe that being overwhelmed comes from not being able to compartmentalize and focus on individual tasks. So, you know, you just take a whole group of things and I need to do this, and this, which is really just a series of single tasks. So as long as you can keep perspective on stuff, I think that that's something that you could avoid.
So really just being overwhelmed comes from lack of focus, essentially.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. Looking back at your journey, is there a specific piece of advice you wish you had received when you were just starting?
Yeah. Yes and no, because I think that if I had heard certain things, looking back, I probably have heard certain things for a very long time, but I just wasn't ready to receive it. Or if I had achieved certain things, like if I had more money when I was 22, like that would have been terrible for me. Like it wouldn't have been a better thing. So I think I came across everything as I needed to come across it. I can look back at it and say, if I had the mindset that I did now when I was 22, 23, 25, whatever the case, then my life would be different. But that's the mindset that I have now is also a result of everything that's taken place.
What is your take then on that? In that case, what is your take on people who do achieve early wealth? And I guess even what would you have done with the wealth? And are you grateful that you didn't achieve wealth at such a young age?
Oh, so people who achieve early wealth, it depends on what it is that they are doing, quite honestly. Like I know there's a lot of people who a few years ago it was GameStop and a bunch of people made some massive windfall just gambling off of that. I'm not gonna lie, I partook in it. I made some money off of it too. But I'm sure some people did that when they were like 20 years old. Same thing for the crypto people, or same thing with the what's the video game where you build houses and you shoot people? Fortnite, like the Fortnite streamers make millions of dollars when they're very young. I think that if that's how you're making your money, you don't really go through the same process of earning it. So you don't have the same character development that would come with building a business that makes you millions of dollars. Right. So I think if that's not something that they prioritize, it will be of detriment to them long term. I kind of think that's what happens with like child celebrities and stuff, is because they're at such a young age, they're not developed enough to handle that type of shit, and they never need to become it because they're rich as hell from the time that they're, I don't know, children. So I think getting too much money before you're developed enough to handle it is never a good thing, despite what people think. That's why so many people win the lottery and just blow it all because you're not equipped to handle $300 million. Like, despite what people think, you have to be able to handle this type of stuff. You have to be able to handle this much money, and everyone can't just deal with it in the same way that some people go and get into great shape while they're in a relationship, and it's the first time that women have ever liked them. So they just run around fucking all of them and fuck up their whole entire life and their marriage or whatever, because they're not equipped to handle it. I forgot the second part of the question. No. I'm very, very happy that I spent a good bit of my life poor. I think that if I had money from a young age, I would have fucked it up. I would have fucked up my life even more. I would have done a bunch of dumb shit. If I made a bunch of money when I was, like I said, 20, I would have had a fancy ass car with some big giant ass rims on it, and just a bunch of chains and diamonds and a bunch of stupid shit that would have served me none.
If you were to win the lottery, going off of that, if you were to win the lottery and it was $100 million, what would you do with it today?
What would I do with it today? I would reinvest it into my current coaching business, and I would invest some of it in, I don't know, some sort of real estate, not an ETF, REIT.
Okay. So for me, what I was thinking about that question myself, like, what would I do the other day? And for me, it's like, dude, I don't know what the fuck I do. And because of that, the first thing I would do is get a mentor. Get a mentor so that I can be like, okay, what strategic moves can I make with $100 million? Because I mean, $100 million, you can buy, of course, real estate. You can buy, advertising for your business. There's so many different opportunities that you can do, and you might even go into a different business model just because you have all that cash to leverage. You might build some sort of AI or something nowadays. But I think the mentorship is definitely super valuable. I know you have a mentor who actually I spoke with Kyle Perry the other day, and he has the same mentor. What is your take on having a mentor? And I know you've also talked on how paying for a mentor is infinitely more valuable than paying for the traditional education system.
Infinitely. So I didn't go to college myself. I don't know if that's a surprise to anybody given our conversation, but 1000%. So it's hard to replace someone who can give you practical knowledge with someone who is giving you conceptual ideas about stuff, because that's what's happening if you're going to university, college, whatever people want to call it, depending on where they're from of sorts. You're learning marketing and advertising from people who teach people about marketing and advertising, but don't market and advertise themselves. Whereas if you can find a mentor, if you find the right mentor, there are a lot of people, I imagine, who are running around scamming people with pretending they know something or teaching them how to grow their business, but their only business is growing people's business. It's just this like infinite loop. But if you go and you find somebody who's actually done something, who's actually built a business for themselves, or whatever the case, whatever the case it may be, even if it's mentorship in something mindset wise, if you have somebody who came from, I don't know, just being super negative and they've worked themselves and completely turned their perspective around, that's valuable as well. But someone who's actually done and experienced something, showing you how to do it, will be infinitely better than someone speaking conceptually. Your time frame is collapsed into something much, much shorter. Like you spend 4 years learning about the general concept of how to do business, and also French and psychology and about marine biology for some fucking reason, like nothing to do with it. So it's much more focused, it's much shorter, and the knowledge will be much more applicable to you.
Yeah. And I mean, because you're also learning from people who are where you want to be, who have achieved what you want to achieve, rather than someone who is a professor in college making 40 to 60 grand a year. I remember actually it was that thing. I was in business school for like half a semester or a semester or something. I can't even remember what exactly, because it was a weird structure. And yeah, dude, I was taking in business school, I was taking astronomy, like looking at the moon. I mean, although the moon is cool, it's nice to look at sometimes. It's relaxing, but what does that have to do with business?
Not a fucking thing. And it's hard to reconcile stuff like that. It's like this isn't related. And separate from that, again, you're a teacher. You don't own a business. So like, why are you giving me advice on how to start a business? Like, what am I going to do with this? And where is your advice coming from other than this book? And why can I not just buy this book?
Yeah. I do actually want to shout out a program that has helped me, because I know there's going to be a lot of people on here who are like, A, I don't have the money for a mentor, or B, I don't know where to start for looking for a mentor. There's this, I think they're global, I don't know if they're global, I think they're nationwide at least. They're a free mentoring program with different experts in different fields who have all been retired executives or like older executives just wanting to give back to their community and give back their time. It's called score.org. I had a mentor in real estate before, and he was a very successful agent. He owned a branch of Keller Williams, and they specialized in commercial real estate. So if you want to get a mentor that will truly help you change and you don't know where to start, definitely go to that website, score.org, SCORE.org. Definitely a powerful start there. Actually thinking about getting another one from there to help with my business now. But I know you personally, Jason, have Wes Watson as a mentor, who is actually a man who spent 10 years in prison just to come out and achieve what most can't, even 10 years not in prison, 10 years just in the system working for the man. And he has become wealthy. He's become famous, and he's surrounded himself around a good level of high value individuals.
Yes, 1000%. So first and foremost, I think that before we get into the rest of it, I think that when people think about what is and is not possible, if you look at specifically his life, he's been out of prison for 5 years and some change. He effectively started his life from zero, from 5 years ago, and achieved what most people will never, ever do as somebody who essentially just started existing at 35, 36, however old he was. And so it's hard to see something like that and then still accept that people just cannot do it themselves.
Mm.
That they're being held back. Like you don't get too much more held back than living a decade of your life inside of a building,
right?
And then coming out, covered in gang tattoos and shit. So
yeah, I mean, especially from like, obviously there's a stigma around tattoos. I think it's letting up now, but like, dude, what you said, he literally came out of jail, and it's as if imagine someone who's 25 or 23 even, because that's when you 5 years out of graduating high school, 23, with the success that he's achieved. That's essentially the same thing. Obviously he's learned from being in prison. He's probably learned some lessons that translated back to building his life out once he was out. But I mean, it's tremendous the amount of success he's been able to achieve.
Yeah, you should. People see that. You should realize that you can do. The only thing standing in the way of you being whoever it is that you want to be is your willingness to put in the work and your day-to-day habits. But so many people write it off in favor of being a victim of society or the patriarchy or whatever the fuck is holding them down. It's some nebulous forces that's outside of their control, and everything is just conspiring against them. But you see people who have the deck stacked much less in their favor, who do far more than these people do. It's the same people you see who claim that they're super obese because of their genetics. But there are people with terrible genetics in much better shape than them, and there are people with great genetics who are in much worse shape than them. So everything is what it is that you choose to make of it, and people need to take accountability.
Right, exactly. No, I think we all start in the position we're in, and
absolutely, there's nothing you can do about it.
Out of it.
Yeah, that's because that's all you could do with it. If you even if it's true that maybe you're dropped farther back on the board than someone else, okay, that's fine. But you're still on the board. That's all that matters. And you can still, maybe you have to go a few miles farther. Okay, but you could still go there. You still have the opportunity to do it. And you just gotta push through it. And some people start off closer to the end. Sure, amazing. But the people who people look back at, who have the good stories, who inspire people, are the ones who came from far back. So if anything, you should be grateful for all of your disadvantages.
Exactly. It's reminding me of what we spoke about earlier with your 6 figures that is in that lawsuit right now. Like, you might have the worst genetics in the world. Your whole family line may have been obese. Okay, so
Doesn't matter.
Are you gonna sit on your ass and cry and eat pizza and keep that chain going? Or are you gonna get off your ass and end that chain and go work out and go eat healthy and go become the person that you're too afraid you can be?
Yes, and then you can be the catalyst for the rest of your people moving forward to not have to live like that. So just because this has happened, or just because this is the situation that you're in, or okay, cool, you grew up in a shitty house, amazing. Do you want to live in a shitty house forever? Cool, then go do something fucking productive and stop whining about where you were.
Exactly.
Nothing that doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference.
100%. Can you recommend a resource, whether it's a book, tool, or a practice that has had a significant impact on your journey and mindset?
A practice, I will say, is whenever you come to a crossroads of something, pick the thing that's harder, because it's probably the thing that's better. It will suck more, but it will get you to where it is that you want to be, and it will prepare you for the hard shit that comes up in the future. Pick the hard thing whenever you're at a crossroads. Easier choice is almost never the right choice.
What is an example?
The hard way. Say again?
What's an example of that?
Of making the harder choice?
Yeah, making a hard choice versus an easy choice.
Oh, man. Your alarm goes off in the morning. You can do the easy thing and hit snooze. You can do the hard thing and get up out of bed. You have a craving for some food. You can do the easy thing and eat that shit, or you can do the hard thing and say, no, this is not what I'm going to eat right now. You need to go to the gym and you don't feel like it because you're tired or you're sad or whatever the fuck. The easy thing is to skip it and stay home and watch Netflix. The hard thing is to go work out. You get a call from your ex, whoever, who you know you had a shitty relationship. The easy thing is to go hang out one time, and the hard thing is to be like, no, this is not what I'm doing right now. This is not good for me. All scenarios, you agree to do something, it comes up, it's time to do it, and you don't feel like it. The easy thing is to say no. The hard thing is to go do it anyway and give it your all.
That being said, you have become known for making tough decisions on social media without hesitation. How do you approach and make these difficult choices, and how can others adopt this mindset?
So the easy kind of goes back to the previous thing of just whenever you're at a crossroads for something, opt for the harder thing, and quickness to act will always help out any sort of overthinking or procrastination or something, because the more that you think about something, the more it is that you can convince yourself it's a bad idea, or maybe something else will work better, or maybe this is not what I should do. And doing something is almost always better than not doing something.
Almost always. Elaborate.
Yes. I mean, if you were to take it in like the literal sense, it's not literally better.
Yeah.
In all senses. In the sense that you shouldn't do cocaine, like.
Yeah. No, that's what I was thinking. Like, almost always. So, as long as you're doing something legal, something that's beneficial.
As long as you're doing something objectively positive. If you want to build a business, taking a step towards it will always be better than thinking about doing it. It doesn't even matter what it is. You could do something that might not be the right thing, but then you learn something from it. But if you can sit around thinking about planning on doing it, that will never get you any closer, and just reinforces your habit of not actually taking action. If you want to go to the gym, you want to get in shape, going will always be better than sitting there thinking about it. It doesn't matter if you have the perfect workout to do. Working out will always be better than not working out.
So doing the wrong thing will forever be more valuable, more effective than doing nothing.
If we're not taking that to the absolute literal sense, yes, absolutely, 1,000%.
Yeah.
If you're trying to get somewhere, you would be better served acting on something and it not being the right thing, and then you learning from it and learning what to do, than you just doing absolutely nothing at all.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I was like, in some cases, maybe you shouldn't take action, but
yes, that's what I'm saying. In the absolute most literal sense, no.
Yeah. As someone who embraces change and challenges excuses, what emerging trends or technologies do you believe will disrupt or enhance your field in the next 5 years?
So I've seen you actually spoke about AI earlier, and not in the context in which you spoke about it, but someone recently told me, they said, I was talking about making my videos, and they said that I can have AI write out a script for me.
Yeah.
And I thought that is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life, because I take a lot of pride in, saying something and what it is that I'm saying, the message of them sharing, the way that I say it. And I also, when I listen to other people speak, and part of the reason that I like listening to people who speak is the way that they speak. But to come to find out that they're not doing it themselves, it's kind of like when people said Drake was using a ghostwriter. I was like, oh shit, that's hurtful to me, because like I need to know that you're saying these things.
Yeah.
And also, if you're just running around having some robot write out scripts for you, like of like when you're actually like speaking of something, it takes away from you putting your own, like, what have you learned? What are you conveying of your own life experiences in this? And especially for something like what it is that I'm sitting here doing now, like mindset coaching, like it's my mindset.
Right.
And it doesn't count the same way to me if a robot or whatever AI functionally is to come up with that thing and say it. It's just, I don't know. It just seems like a way for people to, it's not really a scam. I can't call it that, but it's probably the closest version of that. Like if someone found out that, like, if people found out that like Tony Robbins was just reading scripts, I don't know what the fuck Tony Robbins talks about, but if people just found out Tony Robbins was reading scripts from other people, like I would have to imagine that would be hurtful to some people.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially like you said, when you have such a personal connection with your audience, with your business. So obviously AI can be detrimental to business and to people who are really trying to be authentic. But is there anywhere where you think AI can be beneficial to business?
Oh, absolutely. I think AI has a lot of benefit depending on what it is you're doing. Like I know you talked about outlining and stuff with this. That's a great thing to go. Maybe some sort of business plan generation. I've heard people using AI for stock information and stuff, like some sort of analyses, and whatever the plural of that is.
Yeah.
So there's lots of practical and useful and beneficial applications of AI.
I believe AI really, I always think about it from the standpoint that it's not artificial intelligence or human intelligence. It's both. And when you combine artificial intelligence with human intelligence, what you get is enhanced intelligence. Because artificial intelligence can do things faster and find out information faster than the human can, but they don't have the human personal experience. So once you combine the two of those, then it becomes enhanced.
Yes, I can see. So way I immediately relate AI to is like Skynet and what's the Will Smith movie where he was a robot kind of, and it was all in white robots, iRobot.
iRobot,
yeah, and the AI just coming and taking over the whole world. So that's what I immediately related to. I know that Elon Musk is doing his Neuralink thing. I know some people want to put the chip in their brain. I don't know how I feel about that personally. I don't know that I would trust a chip controlled by somebody else.
Yeah. I'm sure they're paying well, but
I would imagine so. But I think this is also one of those situations where it's like it's here now. You can fight against it and it's not going to do anything, or you can embrace it and use it to your advantage, like everyone else is going to be doing, because you'll be at a disadvantage if you don't. So.
Yeah. Dealing with setbacks is a common theme in personal development. How do you personally handle these challenges and maintain unwavering motivation?
So first and foremost, I don't, as a whole, generally believe in the concept of motivation. I know people like to go out and find motivational speakers or motivational audio or whatever. I need to be motivated and fired up to go work out. But functionally, you absolutely do not. You just need to do it. I think that's where being disciplined comes in, is once you cultivate that, it's like I'm not feeling motivated to do this, but it doesn't matter because this is what I do. So this is what I'm going to get done. And that will also remove any of the, or maybe not remove, but lessen the effects of any sort of setback. Whereas this is what I need to do regardless of the situation that it is, or regardless of what's going on, regardless of outside stimuli. This is what has to happen. So when you're disciplined, you do it anyway.
So, because essentially discipline is an action, it's a trait, whereas motivation is an emotion. Motivation is not something that is always going to be unwavering. Motivation, you're not always going to feel motivation, but you can always be disciplined because it's a trait that you hold yourself to. It's not an emotion.
Yeah. So yeah, motivation is a feeling in the same way that no one feels happy all the time or sad all the time or feels any sort of way all of the time. It would be ridiculous to hold yourself to the standard of I have to have this feeling constantly to be able to do anything.
Yeah.
Like no one's even hungry or hungry at the same time every single day. Like your feelings are fleeting and very, very wavering. Whereas discipline, well, personally, I like to qualify discipline more as the lack of certain traits like procrastination, like you're disciplined when you don't procrastinate. But yeah, it's a trait or that you've either cultivated or removed depending on the view of it you choose to take.
Yeah, I think once you equate motivation to the same level as other emotions, then that's where you're starting to go on the right track. Because you have to, like you said, no emotion is unwavering, and motivation is emotion.
I also think that even when it comes to motivation as a feeling, people have the wrong view of it. Like no one would just expect to sit around and just randomly be happy out of nowhere without some sort of outside stimuli. Almost all feelings are a response to something. So you even if you are to rely on motivation, you don't get motivated and do stuff. You do the thing, and that gives you more motivation to continue doing the thing. Like you have to earn the feeling, just like you have to earn all other feelings. Like no one just sits around and is sad with absolutely zero outside influence. Like something happens to make you sad. You thought of something, you remembered something, you missed something, someone said something to you, whatever the case it may be. But it's a response to something. Motivation would have no reason to be any sort of different or be different.
I think it's also like people don't want to be motivated 24/7 because imagine like you're just feeling like shit. You're laying on a couch, you're watching some movie and you're like, dude, I need to go to the gym, but I don't feel like going to the gym. But I know I can get motivated by watching a motivational video. Nah, I don't want to do that because I'm not motivated to get motivated. Like, you know, it's really as simple as that. You don't feel like doing something, and guess what? You do it anyway.
There are zero things in this world that feeling a certain way is a prerequisite to being able to do. You don't have to be happy to work out. You don't have to be motivated to work out. You don't have to feel any way to do anything. Like you don't have to not be tired, or you don't have to feel well rested to get out of bed. You just got to get out of bed. And the more that you do these things despite how you feel, the easier it will become to do them when you're not feeling like it in the future. Like people always say that willpower is finite. I don't know if that's true or not, but even if it is, you don't infinitely need willpower. Like you need willpower when you first try to quit smoking, but the longer you go without smoking, the less willpower you need to do it. So it not being unlimited is of no relevance if you do something long enough.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I mean, it's an age-old talk too. I mean, it's become so cliche nowadays that you need to be disciplined, you need to do things even when you don't want to. And people that are broke, people that aren't achieving their goals, they're like, yeah, that's bullshit. I hear that all the fucking time. But then you talk to anyone who is remotely successful and they're like, dude, it's fucking discipline. It's not motivation. So stop sulking, stop feeling sorry for yourself, and do the same exact thing day in, day out. I don't care if you don't see results in your first day, your first week, your first month, your first year. You keep doing this, and you're going to see results.
Yes, things are cliches for a reason. Like people say, well, that's just a cliche. Yes, but it became that way for a reason. And you have to look at who is spreading what message. It's the overweight people who are telling you that being in shape is an unrealistic body standard. It's the people who are in shape who are saying, hey, anyone could get like this. It's the broke motherfuckers who are saying that that's an unattainable lifestyle and only certain people could do that. It's the people with money who are saying that, hey, anyone can do this. Like people get caught up in looking at the wrong messenger. Like, of course, the people without money are telling you that there's no way to get money. They don't have that shit.
I do think some of it, most of it for broke people and fat people and honest people who are far away from their goals, most of it comes down to limiting beliefs.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side, the people who have achieved it, part of it is reality, part of it is truth, but part of it also is marketing. You know, like everyone's going to be like, oh, you can look exactly like me. Just follow my $2,000 program. You can make the exact same money as me, even though, like you said earlier, my business is teaching people how to make a business, even though that's my only business.
Yeah, so there's bullshit on both sides. Absolutely. And yes, some people are just trying to take advantage of people. I think it's when you're saying that specifically, when you get into people who are promising the most specific of results, like you could look exactly like me. Like there's no way you can guarantee anybody that.
Yeah.
It's the same way that there's no way that you could guarantee that anyone will make this much money. Whereas if you're looking at someone saying, hey, I could tell you how it is that I get in shape, and if you follow this, you will and do this exactly, you'll get in pretty good shape too. I can tell you how I build my business. And if you do these things, you'll build a pretty good business too. I think that's very different than saying, hey, you can, like we talked about earlier with the what is it, 4-week abs or whatever. Like you do this for 4 weeks and you'll have abs. Like no, you won't, unless you almost have abs already. Or you do exactly this and you'll make $50,000. And like there's no way you can guarantee somebody that.
Yeah.
But what you can guarantee is this is the process that worked for me, and I will show you this process. And if you implement it, it will work for you in some capacity.
I think that is also where you go back to purpose over wealth, or purpose first before wealth. Because if you're just chasing money, like you said, you're going to chase it away. Let's say you start some e-com business. Dude, you're going to run into issues, and then the grass is going to be greener in affiliate marketing. Then you're going to run into issues, and the grass is going to be greener in real estate. Then you're going to run into issues, and the grass is going to be greener in stock. Like, you're just going to keep bouncing back and forth and back and forth and back and forth from so many different options if you're not pursuing your purpose, which, by the way, you can make tons of money from once you learn how to monetize your purpose, your passion.
Absolutely, 1,000%. I mean, if you just go and look at the stuff that people are making money off of, like people make a bunch of money doing yo-yo tricks on the internet, and it's like, obviously they didn't get into these yo-yo tricks because they thought there was lots of money in it. They just liked it and they started doing it. Like if you ever look at what's the dude with the weird mustache's name, Mr. Beast. If you see like his early stuff, we talk about like, yo, I just like making videos. But like people see, oh, you really like making these videos, and they see that in the video, but they can also tell, oh, you just want me to give you some money and to just watch you do some shit. So like when you go out and you just go after what it is that you really want to do. I mean, obviously you have to do it intelligently. Like you can't just sit in your room and play with Legos and make money off of it. But you can as a whole. There's people. There's a whole TV show about people putting together Lego sets. Like people make money doing what it is that they love to do, and you got to figure that out. But if you're just running around trying to get rich, you're going to be that old dude that's trying to get everyone on their get rich quick scheme. And here, sign up for this gambling thing that I'm a part of.
Yeah. Which they say is not gambling. They say it's guaranteed, but then there's definitely no guarantee that you're gonna get your money back once you see it's not a guarantee. But I think also Lego is like a multi-billion-dollar, I'm sure, business. I mean, they have movies, they have video games,
from little plastic brick things that they were like, hey, these are cool to put together.
Yeah. It's crazy what it's become too. I mean, because you also think about not just people that like playing with Legos, but like the Lego founder, right? And I mean, he literally just liked putting bricks together, but not real estate bricks, literal bricks.
Little toy bricks, yeah.
And it's become a franchise of movies and billions of dollars of toys and video games and tons of different avenues of revenue. It's
just because you want to put together some bricks. I follow a dude who teaches people how to sing how to use their voice, like, because I think he was like an opera singer or something like that. But people do all kinds of shit. You just have to pick something and focus on it and go after it and stop when you know people run around chasing money. Is like I said, just a bunch of get rich quick schemes, and that seems like a dead end because it is. You're chasing the wrong stuff.
And I think you can attest to this as well. Even if you stick with one thing and you achieve wealth, but you know in the back of your mind that you didn't fulfill your purpose. You didn't do anything meaningful to achieve that wealth. Like,
it's empty.
You started an OnlyFans marketing agency where there's a ton of money in, but what the fuck am I doing starting an OnlyFans market? Like, is that really what I want to do with my life? Is that really the impact I want to have on the world?
Yeah, it's empty as hell, and you're just doing stuff because you get paid for it. It's like, how are you not a prostitute at this point? Like, what are the OnlyFans models that you're marketing? But it's like, yeah, there's no purpose in it. People need to have a purpose for doing something. Otherwise, you're just chasing your tail. You can make millions of dollars and it'll be unfulfilling as shit because you don't care about what it is that you're doing. And you're just doing it for the money. Like, money by itself is absolutely meaningless.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because there's also there's a certain amount of stuff that you can do that you can buy with money. Of course, the first thing for most people is retiring their parents, is helping their parents buy a new house and whatever, like giving back to their family, their loved ones, their people. But once you do that, once you get yourself a nice house and you have all this leftover money, you're going to one night come to yourself and be like, was all of it worth it? Even though my parents are in a beautiful home and they are retired and like they are set for life. My kids are set for life. My kids' kids are set for life. Dude, I'm literally promoting prostitution. Is it worth it? I'm promoting degeneracy. I'm promoting like negative mental health. I'm promoting porn. Like, can you get worse?
Nope. Yeah, people. That's exactly what it is. Degeneracy is the perfect word for it. You're just there's just nothing positive in it. And like even as a whole, you could do that. And I believe in karma. I don't believe that you will be rewarded for that as a whole. When that's what you're dedicating your time to, that's what you're putting out into the world. Even if you could become financially successful and still hate your life. So I think that's exactly.
And there's a lot of people that do.
Yeah, exactly. Is rich people kill themselves all the time because they're like, man, I'm just not living my life right.
Right. And that's all they've wanted to accomplish their entire life is getting rich. And finally they did it. And they're like, oh, well, this wasn't actually worth it.
Yeah, because that's the thing is when you're chasing degeneracy and hedonism, it's like if all you want is money, there's always more money. If all you want is women, there's always more women. Like it's not something that you could ever satisfy. If you want party, there's always more parties. It's never something that you could be fulfilled doing. You're just always going to be chasing more. You just need the more that you get, the more that you need.
I think it's also in large part, that's also why you see a lot of wealthy people like donating, like, because they feel sorry for what they did to actually get rich. And it's like, dude, let me donate because it's going to make me feel better. It's going to make me look good. But I think I've heard of like these different companies, like clothing companies that waste a ton of plastic or something, but then they donate to like that kind of stuff, plastic charities.
Yeah, to offset it.
You know what I'm talking about? But like this, it's just hypocrisy. You know.
Yep. 1,000%.
For how you, it's people care so much about how they look, and then they realize towards the end that it doesn't matter. I mean, like if you could talk to your 85-year-old self today, would he even care about any of this?
Probably not. He just want to be young again. Like, I just want to be 30-year-old me. But like, I mean, if you look at it, like people intrinsically understand that the money isn't the point. That's why people win the lottery and they're not just celebrities because now they have a bunch of money. Yes, rich people are famous, but it's for what they do. You care about seeing Brad Pitt acting or Drake making music or or people care about Elon Musk because he makes fancy robot cars and tweets crazy shit. Yes, he also happens to have a lot of money, but if you take away the money, they'd still be interested in the electric car making and the tweeting shit. But if you take away the electric car making and the tweeting shit, no one just cares that he has a lot of money, because so what?
Right. Yeah, I mean, you look at, I think the owner of like Louis Vuitton and Gucci, like all of the massive luxury brands, like no one, I mean, he's like, I think he even, I don't know if he's the wealthiest right now. I know he became the wealthiest for a period of time.
Yeah, he was, I know he was during COVID. It's what's his name? Bernard Arnault, something like that. People like only know him though because it's like, oh, he became the most wealthy person because people want to make a point about the luxury goods, but no one knows him or what he's doing because no one cares.
Right.
It's not that interesting.
Exactly. I mean, he's literally an old man who just was smart with his money and bought companies that he saw there was a good market for, and they blew up. And
yeah, it's not people like interesting stories. They want to know what people do. That's why people watch like who was the redneck people on a boat?
What?
Duck Dynasty. It was a reality show back in the day because it's like people are interested in what they're doing. It's not, no one cares. But if they're just like some random hillbillies in the woods with millions of dollars, like no one cares.
Right.
It's not interesting that you have money if you're not interesting.
I think it is all about that too. Is people care what you do, and really people care what you do for them. What value are you providing to them?
Yep.
Not who you are. Not when the camera's off, what are you doing after? Not.
Well, I think there's two different groups of people. I think that some people absolutely care only how it is that you affect their life. Like some people care about Kim Kardashian. Some people like her because she, I don't know, looks like what it is they could be, or they want to live vicariously through her. Some people hate her because it makes them feel better to hate her because they don't have money. I don't know. But then on the other end, some people actually do care about who people are as people. And I think that those are the people who wind up being successful because they pick up on the proper traits from these people. Right. So like if you see somebody, it's like you only care that they're an entertainer or having money versus who are you as a person that got you to be this entertainer with this money, and you focus on that, then you can take that stuff and apply it to yourself.
Right. No, exactly. Well, that being said, in your opinion, what is the most crucial trait that individuals should cultivate for success, especially when it comes to mindset, fitness, and nutrition, and really just general life? What is the one trait that will make you successful?
I'm torn between two, and that's going to be self-awareness and accountability. And I say self-awareness because very, very few people have an accurate view of themselves and the situation that they are in and why it is that they are there. And if they did, they would be able to change it. But that also carries over into the accountability thing.
It's kind of the same thing though, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they do go hand in hand. So yeah, I'll say self-awareness.
Okay. So does being aware of, and this is also something that I've gone through, being aware of, sure, you might have massive goals or you might not have goals, but let's say you have massive goals, but you're also broke and fat and nowhere near your goals. Before you can get to $1 million, before you can get to $1 million a month, you need to get to from 0 to 5K, 0 to 10K, 0 to 20K, 0 to 100, like K, like there's steps. You don't just jump from, I'm making $0 right now.
Yeah,
tomorrow I'll be making $1 million a month.
I mean, and some people really think that though, and that's what they expect. And then when it doesn't happen, they just quit. But that's where the self-awareness thing comes in, to know that, okay, cool, I want to be a multimillionaire, but I am not currently someone who A, has money, and B, is equipped to handle being a multimillionaire. So I have to work myself up to that, because again, you need the self-awareness to know where it is you fall on the scale of these things, and some sort of idea that you have to remove yourself from the idea that everyone, like if everyone just got $5 million, it would be the same thing. Like right. Everyone is not equipped to handle it. You need to know whether or not you are that type of person. And if you were, you would have $5 million. So your self-awareness will tell you, hey, I'm not that kind of person. I have to make myself into this kind of person, and becoming this type of person will in turn ensure that I have this $5 million.
I think that's the one that's much harder to accept, is I'm not the type of person to handle millions of dollars. Not, I don't have millions of dollars. That's objective. That's easy.
Yep.
The type of person is much harder to accept, much harder to understand.
Yep, and that's where the self-awareness thing comes in, because you have to be able to step back and say, okay, if I was somebody who could have millions of dollars, I would have millions of dollars. If I was someone who could be in shape, I would be in shape. But you have to work yourself there. It's a process.
I agree. I was going to say, I do agree, but like you said at the end, you saved it. It is a process. Like,
yeah.
I wasn't in shape when I first started working out, but I knew I could get there. Same with everyone else. I am not wealthy yet, but I know I can get there. Same with everyone else.
You're just not there yet, but you can definitely make yourself into that person. But it's steps. You can't just go from if you have $100, you're the type of person who can have $100. That's it. But you can't just go from that to now I have $10 million. It's process. It's steps in between.
Yeah.
And that's where back before when you asked about people getting money at a really young age, like with the Fortnite streamers or something, it's you skip all the steps to become the type of person who could deal with this. Now you're just 19 and you shoot people on the internet and you have millions of dollars, so you can't help but to do ignorant shit.
I think there's also definitely like an ego in play. I mean, you look at these course creators that are, again, going back to like, I will help you make $10,000 a month. But again, my whole business is teaching you how to make $10,000 a month. But it's like the whole ego like that. I'm better than these people who aren't making $10,000 a coach, even though my business is teaching other people how to make $10,000 a month. And maybe I am making $10,000 a month, but I'm doing that by coaching other people.
By telling other people how to make $10,000.
Some people can move into that after building another business, but that's the only business they've ever built.
Yeah, it's one thing to be like, okay, cool. I built this business selling Milky Ways to vending machine owners or something. I don't know. And I made millions of dollars doing that. So now I'm going to teach other people how to stock vending machines with candy as like a, I don't know, third party intermediary between Mars or whoever the fuck makes Milky Ways and vending machine owner people. And that's very different than, you can make money stocking candy and vending machines. So I'm just going to tell other people that because I read this other person seeing how to do it. Exactly. So it's like, you've never done it. Like, is it just hypothetical knowledge to you? Like, you don't know. It's
like so many courses are literally just reciprocated information that they've heard from other people. And by the way, the person that they heard it from might not even be a legit mentor. And they, it's like a ghost story, right? You tell a ghost story, it gets told to someone else, and it gets told to someone else, and it keeps getting.
What is it? Telephone game. Where you whisper to something. Yeah, it keeps going down. But see, that's also the problem with it, is because you don't actually functionally know how this works. So you don't know that the person who you're hearing it from isn't just lying to you. So like, it could just be a whole entire series of lies until someone actually does it. And they're like, hey, this shit don't work at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have no way of knowing that.
But then also, I mean, a lot of times you see these businesses are actually successful, and even though they have tons of bad reviews, and that's, where marketing dollars and sales and sketchy stuff comes into play. But it's unfortunate, really. I mean, you always hear those who can do, those who can't teach. I argue it should be a different way. I argue it should be those who can do, those who have done, teach.
That's what it should be, yeah. But see, I think that's again where it comes into the difference in teaching and mentorship. Is teaching is more so just, hey, here's this information that I have on this thing, and I'm going to tell you this information that I have on this thing, versus mentorship is, hey, I've done this thing, and I'll show you how I did this thing.
Right.
Which is the more valuable thing. It's speaking from practical experience rather than theoretical stuff.
Yeah. Your straightforward, no excuses philosophy can be challenging for some people. How do you help individuals who struggle to face their excuses head on without feeling overwhelmed?
Well, so firstly, the overwhelmed thing, like I said before, is an inability to focus on things. And I think actually the best way to be able to accept things straightforward or directly head on when you're not used to that is to just jump in. I think the best way to get into most things is to jump into them, because You wanting to ease into that type of stuff is the exact problem. The exact problem is that you need to beat around the bush to these things. Your exact problem is that you can't hear that you're fat because you eat too much. You need to know that, hey, maybe a whole bunch of stuff is at play, and accidentally and through no fault of your own, you're eating this and marketing stuff and all this. It's like that's how you got to be where you are in the beginning, from beating around the bush. That's the problem. It's your exact problem is you've never had someone be direct with you.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's also a stigma nowadays. It's like, obviously they're trying to make men weak. They're trying to make men soft. They're trying to make men like feminine, essentially.
Yep.
And they're telling you, oh yeah, you can be fat, you can be broke, you can have your woman make more money than you, and your woman has to support you. And like, huh? Like, where did all that stuff come from? Like, and I think it was like the 70s, 80s was feminism, and it was true feminism. And now there's feminism that's really masculinity, and they're trying to teach masculinity to be feminist.
Yeah, and it's so a lot of the stuff is. Oh, this is how we get kicked off the internet. But a lot of the stuff is people want to just be able to do things and have free of any sort of standards or anyone else having an opinion about it. Like you said, the back in the day with the feminism was true feminism, and now it's what was it? Either last year or before, it was like hot girl summer stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, sure, you're free to run around and do whatever it is that you want to, but some people don't want to associate with you if you do that, and that's entirely their right as well.
And then they get mad at the people who don't want to associate with them because they are sleeping around with random guys. They have a 50-person body count. It's like, oh, how dare you not want to be around me? I'm a 10.
Maybe before, but it's like this is the thing though, is you can't do what you want and then just try and remove everyone else's ability to have their own standards or opinions. And that's what people are trying to do. It's like, cool, You're absolutely free to do that, but I don't want to associate with that. And I'm free to do that as well, but they're only willing to accept one part of it. And people come to this conclusion or have this idea that you having any sort of standards for someone else is somehow oppressive to them. It's like, I would not date a woman who goes to the club every night. I'm not suggesting women can't go to the club every night. I'm just saying that if you do that, I don't personally want to date you. And that's my own fucking prerogative. Like, if I don't want to do that, but people call that hateful or some sort of misogyny or controlling or shit. It's like, no one is being controlled. Yeah, it's like this. No one is telling you that you can't do it. I'm simply saying that if you do that, you're not the person for me. And that's perfectly fine. Like, everyone's not for everybody, but somewhere along the way, people got lost in that shit. It's like, if you want to be 400 pounds, it's your fucking prerogative, but I don't want to be with you if you're 400 pounds. I'm not telling you not to be 400 pounds. I'm simply telling you that we're not for each other.
Exactly.
And that's somehow become not okay now to have your own personal standards or opinions. Whereas if you go on the other end, if the women run around saying they don't like bald men, then that's perfectly okay. Even though you can do absolutely nothing about losing your hair, but you can absolutely do something about being 400 pounds. Women allegedly don't like shorter men, but you can do absolutely nothing about your height. But you can absolutely do something about your 50+ person body count. That was your choice. No one chose to be the height they are. No one chose to be tall or short. Like, it's just how it wound up. But that's a perfectly okay standard to have. Somehow.
You know what's funny is I remember Kyle Perry talking to me about, he had like 250K followers on TikTok before, and he got canceled because he compared people calling 50 Cent fat to people saying Lizzo is so beautiful. And it's like, how do you equate like that? But show me some fucking logic. Show me a piece of logic, please.
So the thing is, people have come to this thing where it's selective, where it's like you can't body shame these people, right? But it's perfectly okay to body shame 50 Cent. Like, for what reason? Like, it's the same thing. But 50 Cent he popped up jacked. Like, he spent his whole entire life, or at least since people could see him, in shape. Like, even at the Super Bowl, he was still swole, just fat. Also, he was just like had high body fat percentage, but he still had muscles and shit. Like, So
I actually went to a concert, 50 Cent concert, like a month ago. It was pretty cool. Him and
Last Apple,
Busta Rhymes.
Yep.
I thought there was a third person, maybe not, but Busta Rhymes, 50 Cent, it was dope.
Yeah, man, I love 50 Cent, but like, it's the double standards that people come up with for this shit is baffling, and the mental gymnastics they have to do to convince themselves that what they're saying makes perfect sense is absolutely insane to me. And the thing is, if everyone just standardly thought Lizzo was beautiful, it wouldn't be offensive for someone to not think that she was beautiful.
Yeah.
Because like when it comes to stuff like if someone's not attracted to Beyonce, people will say it's a matter of taste, right?
Yeah.
But if you say you're not attracted to Lizzo, all of a sudden you're hateful. And the only reason that you would take that stance is because you know that standardly this is not what people find attractive.
I think what's funny is if you tell someone you're not attracted to Lizzo, they're like, what the fuck? Like, you fucking sexist pig. But then you tell someone they look like Lizzo and they don't take it as a compliment. They take it as an insult. And it's like 2 + 2 is not equaling fucking 4 right now.
Yeah, because you said that she was beautiful. This should be a compliment to you. I don't know. It's all weird, and people like to live in fantasy land. And I think that is one of the reasons that is also important to be direct with stuff, because all of this beating around the bush and everything is okay with everything is how we come to this point that we're just living in a world of in a land of make believe.
So we've touched on La La Land, we've touched on discipline, and we've touched on how to develop yourself as a man. I have one less serious question before we end it off. If you could have a workout session with any historical figure, who would it be, and what fitness tips would you exchange?
I don't know who you're considering a historical figure, but I would like to work out with Tupac.
Tupac.
Because I love Tupac. But I don't have any fitness tips that I want from Tupac because I feel like I'm in better shape than he was. But
yeah.
But I would like to know how he came to be very ahead of his time worldview wise, because I was nowhere near like that when I was 25.
Yeah.
So that's what I would like to know in this workout session. We would talk about it over some bench pressing.
I think he did have you look at like some videos of him just talking to the camera, just being super real. I mean, it's like this guy was actually like super smart.
Yep.
Now, last question before we end it.
Got it.
If you could give one piece of the most valuable, actionable advice that you could to the audience, what would that piece of advice be?
The most valuable piece of actionable advice is whatever you want to do, start doing it right now. It doesn't matter if you know exactly what to do. It is better to do something imperfectly than to wait around trying to figure out how to be perfect. Forward momentum is best. Start immediately.
I cannot end it better than that. This was the Reborn podcast of Jason Lamar. Jason, where can people find you?
People find me on all platforms at the Jason Lamar.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, man.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Hey, this is Tony Butchers. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, please feel free to subscribe. I would love to see you on the next episode. Also, if you have 10 seconds, I'd appreciate it if you would leave a review or a rating. I would appreciate it so much. I hope to see you guys in the next episode. As always, thanks for listening. Have a great day.